Stanley says it takes 21 times for you to share your vision before people begin to hear it. Andy Stanley says it takes 21 times for you to share your vision before people begin to hear it. Andy Stanley says it takes 21 times. I think you get the point, right? God told the Jewish prophet Habakkuk, after he was whining, Habakkuk that is, he said, write the vision down so that those who read it may run. Solomon, supposedly the wisest man to ever live, told us all that where vision is absent, people scatter. Hey, this is Scott Beebe, the founder and the head coach of the Business on Purpose platform, where we liberate small business owners from the chaos of working in their business. Before you assume that this is a religious teaching, because I just quoted 3 religious figures right from the top, don't leave just yet. It's hard to have a thoughtful discussion about vision without going into the annals of religious history. We could reasonably conclude that the nation of Israel itself, a Jewish nation, was the result of a vision that Abraham had. And the rebuilding of the historic wall around the actual city of Jerusalem, well, that was a vision of Nehemiah, another Jewish man. Vision is historic. Vision is necessary. Vision is powerful. And when vision is absent, it leads to chaos. The goal of this short course is really twofold. Number 1, for you to be equipped to write a detailed vision story in 7 primary categories that provides you and the people you influence with clarity and where you are going and how they might be a part of that. Number 2, I want you to take action right now and write out your vision story. You must know that a vision story is different than a vision statement. Vision statements are typically short and incredibly broad. A vision statement might sound something like this. We see Acme Company becoming the leading supplier of metal widgets, providing our team with great opportunity, our customers with a valuable product, and our suppliers with outstanding support. You know, broad, general. Vision is not a modern management theory. It's not an invention of the great management hero Peter Drucker or the diligent author Jim Collins. Harvard Business Review did not uncover vision in a case study. Vision has been around since before the beginning of human history. We know one thing for certain, and we know it in 3 ways by understanding this one proverb. Where there is no vision, people become detached. There's actually another version of it. Where there is no vision, people scatter. And finally, actually the most gruesome, where there is no vision, people die. Here's a caution. Vision does not work just because you write it. It works because you write it, you share it, you share it, you share it, you share it, and you implement. We're going to give you the easiest, frictionless way to write your vision that we have found in thousands of hours of coaching, feedback, trial, and error. It's not rocket science, and it will likely not blow your mind. It's intentionally simple. Before we begin, what is vision? Vision is a detailed snapshot of the future of your business. It's not a broad statement that's ambiguous and hard to grab. In your vision, we're looking for detail. If I told you, hey, hop in the car and let's take a ride, your natural response should be, where are we going? We all have a desire to know where the destination is and what it looks like. It allows us to determine whether or not we want to go. When God told Habakkuk, write the vision down so that those who read it may run, it is understood that not all who read it will run towards the vision. In fact, many people, well, they might run away from the vision. That is when you know that the vision is clear. Vision is polarizing. Vision naturally divides. Vision saves you time and headache by knowing who is in and who is out. In order to get clarity into your vision, we have seen these 7 categories serve as a simplistic guide in bringing clarity to heroic small business owners in the form of a long-range vision. Here are the 7 categories. The initial category that we must determine is the time length and duration of your vision. If you're reading this in the adolescent years of the 21st century and beyond, let's safely assume that our culture is at breakneck speed. I can't imagine it's going to slow down. Within that context, a 20 or 30-year-old vision will likely be too long and too ambiguous. Remember, the vision is here to bring radical clarity so that people around us, including our own minds, have a clear destination to run towards. What we have found experientially is that a 6-month to a 6-year vision is about the length of time that people can wrap their arms around. Anything shorter than that is likely considered strategy instead of vision. And anything longer than that almost seems out of reach. Just think about the difference between a 10-year-old and a 16-year-old student. There's no real formula or magic in answering these questions, so here it is. When you see a detailed future snapshot of your business, how far out is that? That's the question we want to ask. When we think about the time duration of our vision, the strategy versus a vision answers the question, when you see a detailed future snapshot of your business, how far out is that? For our business, it was 6 years. It may be shorter for you. Instead of writing the year, make sure to write a specific date including the year. For instance, January 31st, 2045. Now, if you're listening to this in 2017, that's probably too far out, so make your own date. Once you have a specific date written, it forces your mind to think about all of the people you love at the age, and it begins to be very real. So what is the date? Write it down. No, seriously, write it down. The next category is what we call the family freedom category. The most frequent response we get to this category is, am I writing a vision for myself or my family, or am I writing a vision for my business? Yes, you are incorporating both with more detail regarding business than family. We have an entire course just on how to write your family vision. We used to ask our guests on the Business on Purpose podcast, what's the greatest myth you see in business today? And the responses were incredibly consistent. They would say over and over again, the greatest myth is it's just business. There is no way to separate family and business. Whatever happens at home is going to join you at work, and whatever happens at work, it's going to join you at home. For some of you, work is at home, and home is your work. So I want you to break down this category by asking this question. In the duration of time that I laid out in the first category, what do I want for my family by that time? Then move to the freedom question. What freedom in my business do I wish to have during that time as well? Be specific. It helps no one when you're ambiguous, saying things like, we wish to be happy, healthy, and whole. Woohoo! Be specific, making statements like, we want to make annual mule riding backpack trips to the western deserts of Texas every September. In the family section of our vision, one of my statements is that I want Ashley and I to go on a date once per week. This is actionable and pretty specific. I don't talk about the restaurant we want to go to. We're going to pick that. It's not that hard. But we do want to go on a date once per week. If there's no specificity about your family and freedom in your vision, you are more likely to remain stuck in the chaos of working in your business. So take time to write out this important section. The third section of your vision is the financial section. The financials come after the family freedom because that section will require some funding. Mule riding backtrack trips can add up. There are 3 numbers that you will do your best to try and populate in this section. You will first look at the profit numbers. Profit is what is left over after every liability and investment is paid, all right? Profit is profit. The profit we see is not for reinvestment into the business. That comes out of operating expense. And it's also not your salary as an owner. Profit is profit. And it is a psychological thank you to your mind for taking the risk of growing and building a business. Heed this warning. If you don't take a profit, you're going to burn out. You will be served well by making a profit number reasonable and in line with industry standards. How much do you want to save for college, weddings, and mule riding backpack trips in September? That's really hard to say. Once you have your profit number, then figure out what profit percent most businesses run in your industry, and you can get to your estimated total revenue right from there. Once you have your total revenue, the third number you will write down your estimated total expenses. That is the money you will use to actually run the company, and it should tell you pretty quick whether or not your vision is in line with your capabilities. Bottom line, your profit will help fund your family and your freedom. So really think through these numbers. Once you have your numbers version 1.0, because they're going to likely change as time goes on, now it's time to articulate the products and services that you will be offering within the vision timeline so that you have set in the first section. So this is our next section, products and services. You can look first at existing products and services. Write all of those down, maybe in bullet point form, and then determine if that's something you want to continue offering or not by the date that you've set. Then make a section for future products and services. These are offerings that you would like to provide that will help you get to the targeted financials, which will help you get to your family and freedom goals within the timeline that you've laid out. So write everything out and think them through. This is your vision, not someone else's. So don't come up with the products and services they want you to provide. Come up with the ones that you want to provide. The next section is our personnel section. As your business grows, one of the great responsibilities and opportunities is to invite others to ride the roller coaster with you so they can bring their unique skill set and perspective to your vision. Team members have become an easy punching bag for the frustrations we experience in business. With constant training, not even great training, but with constant and consistent training, your team can take you beyond what you see. Think methodically through what roles, not people, will be of value to the vision. We'll come back to people. That is what it is like for your business to speak to you. When we start with people, we often misalign a person to their skill set and what naturally gives them energy. When we start with people, we are more interested in finding people we know to help solve the work we don't know, whether it's their skill set or not. When we start identifying the roles instead of people first that our business needs, then we can go find the right people to sit in the right seats at the right times towards the right vision. Around here, we call that role first, people agnostic. Some of the roles you identify might be full-time roles, and some roles might take an hour or 2 hours every 2 weeks. Go ahead and write the role titles out, the best you have in your head right now. Do you need a bookkeeper? An administrative manager? Write it down in the personnel section. The sixth section is client type. Not all clients are created equal. Some clients and customers are in a stage of life or a stage of business that does not really fit with the type of person you wish to be focusing on. If you're selling, let's say, Hot Wheels, then the over 55 retired market is probably not your sweet spot. If you are selling dentures, then the kindergarten classes of your local school is likely not a very strategic place to spend your promotional time and dollars. Ask yourself a question. Looking backwards at those who have bought from you in the past, or looking forward at those who are likely to buy from you in the future, what do they look like? What are their habits? Where do they live? What are their patterns? Draw out those details so you and your team can spot a misfit from a mile away. I didn't call them misfits. I just called them a misfit. Although they may have the money, not all clients and customers are created equal. Your vision story is the perfect place to lay that out. Now, our final section is our culture section, our seventh section. Jim Matei founded the fast food restaurant chain Checkers. And I had the opportunity to have lunch with him a few months ago. What he said made me pause for a minute. The most important thing in business is culture, he said. This from a guy who grew a one-location burger, fry, and shake double drive-through in Mobile, Alabama into a chain of hundreds of locations. I'm always fascinated when guys are in the trenches and they provide a big takeaway. Matei's big takeaway was culture. Culture is the condition that is present that will promote growth. Notice the definition does not articulate between good growth or bad growth. The type of growth is directly influenced by the culture that is created. The easiest way to articulate your culture is to simply ask, what would people observe and say if they walked into your business at the time that you have laid out for your vision? Remember the first section. The answers to that question will serve as the description of the culture that you want to build. So whatever the answers to that question are, how many ever there are, write them down in the culture section, point by point. One of your cultural aspects may be, we're a culture where people smile when they walk in the door. The final missing piece to a simple and powerful training process for you and your team is implementation. This is also the final missing piece for a powerful vision. I will take a half-baked plan with full implementation versus a perfect plan with half-baked implementation. You know, I quote Joe Calloway all the time because it's so powerful. He said, vision without implementation is hallucination. If you write the vision down and you share your vision on a regular basis that you have scheduled, it will work. If you do not share your vision, it will not work. So here's a summary of what you need to get started. Number one, set a time and a place to write your vision story. Number 2, use the 7 categories as your guide. Number 3, share with your team over and over and over. Remember, 21 times before they really begin to hear it. And number 4, implement. Implement, implement. If you implement it, you will get towards your vision. If you don't, it's not going to work.
We're going to give you a little video tutorial of the actual vision story template that we built for you. Now, just as we've done with everything, the goal is not to create these kind of rocket science templates that you can use. We want to do things that are simple, things that are replicable. And so we've created the vision story template for the architecture firm Freedom Formula, where you're going to be able to go through the 7 categories. So this should look very similar. By the way, once you open your template, all you got to do is go to File, make a copy, and then make a copy in your own folder and just choose whatever Google folder that you want to put it in. Of course, if you don't have a Google Drive account, you'll need to do that first. And so you'll go to drive.google.com, sign up for an account, and then you'll be able to open this and make your own copy. Once you make your own copy, you can completely edit everything. So a quick view down the 7 categories. Here's your term, where you start off with a specific date, so it makes your vision real, makes it a reality. Then you move into that second section, your family, and you begin to, if you'll recall, I wrote down date night once per week. And so you'll just put that in there. And then freedom, you may come over here and put something like never work on Fridays, or whatever it might look like for you. So never work on Friday. And so you can put that in there. And then fill out everything else. We've given you 4 bullet points. You can either use those, or you can use less or more, whatever fits what you're looking to draw out in your vision. The third section, there's the financials. What is your profit? What do you want in the bank at the end of the year that you'll be able to leverage to use to make time for what really matters most? Once you've got that, then you can decide on what your revenue expenses are and whatever method you want to do that with. But what we're really interested in is profit, and you'll see that when we get into a tutorial on your 5 bank accounts, and we'll lay that out for you. The 4th section is your product and service section. What existing products are you serving already? For instance, do you do basic elevation design? Do you do a variety of different things within the architectural space? And then in the future, what are some products and services that you want to be able to offer to future clients? Which then leads to our personnel section, and that is, what are the existing team members you have, and then what are the future team members that it's going to take to get you to this type of product and service that you're offering, to get to this level of profit, to get to this level of freedom and family. So you can see how it's building on each other. The 6th section is your client type and customer. Who is it that you're serving, both now and who do you want to serve in the future? And then finally, that culture section. Remember, that's answering that question. If somebody came into my business, what would they see down the road? You begin to write out those elements so people can see clearly. So once you have your vision story bullet pointed out, you can do 1 or 2 things with it. You can either keep it in bullet point form, or if you're creative and more narrative, you can actually write out a narrative in paragraph form based on the bullet points that you have already put on your vision story. So again, the 7 categories: term, family, freedom, financials, product and service, personnel, client type, and culture. And you also want to potentially make a private and a public version of this. So you would just come in and say, hey, this is the private version because it's got all the details with the financials and everything else. But I also want to make a public version. So all you'll do is go to File, make a copy again, and then you'll change this on the copy to public. And you'll delete anything that you don't want in there in the first place. So I hope that makes sense, a little overview of the template that you can leverage. And the biggest thing is to implement. Go get the work done.